Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the show at Rise Up Show with me, your host, the Queen Bee, Dani. How are you feeling? As we chat this morning to the devilishly handsome, the fabulously wonderful, the incredibly knowledgeable Mr. Fidelbo Hill, the modern man. Good morning. Jodie Soul, good morning. Fabna Reddy, good morning. Elise Woodbine, good morning. The devilishly handsome Ian Dixon, good morning, sir.
Shut up, for fuck's sake. Jesus.
The fantastic Lizzie Jackson Barrett, good morning. Josephine Sandra, everybody, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show at Rise Up Show with me, your host, Dani Wallace. I am Queen Bee. I hope you are well. I am absolutely full of a cold. I think that's what it is. I'm either full of a cold. You know when you're just like snotty and running? I feel fine. I'm okay. Don't you lot worry about me. I know you lot have a little worry about me from time to time. I'm fine. But I've like got that kind of snotty sinusy thing going on. And I don't know if it's hay fever or whether I've got a cold, but Poppy is afflicted in the same way. My eyes are itch. I might take an antihistamine, you know. I like how to get to the pollen count is high. I wonder if that's the case. Normally, Wallace is really badly afflicted by sort of allergies and all of that sort of stuff, but I'm really feeling moist up in here. It is a bit like, I was like, oh, my eyes are itching. I wonder if that's the thing. We are the hoi polloi now. We are living out in the country. I wonder if that makes a difference. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna take an antihistamine and see if that makes a difference. I wonder if that's what it is. Because I feel fine. Don't worry, I'm okay. How are you guys? Let me know. We're hitting up the midweek with a bang this week. We've got the gorgeous Gill Kirkham joining us on the show this morning. And we're going to be talking all things vibrational. We're going to be talking energy. And we were just having a little conversation, actually, backstage about this particular point. You know, I love the moon cycles. You know, I tap into a little bit of that energy. And it is tomorrow, Thursday, it's the new moon. And the phase just before the new, I think it's called the balsamic phase of the moon. I don't know. It just sounds like vinegar to me. Put it on my salad. But this particular phase of the moon, apparently we're meant to like cocoon ourselves and engage in lots of self-care. Well, I've got a stacked out bloody diary. I need to take more care around these cycles, I think. I think that'll have a massive impact. I might have a little try and see if rejigging things around the moon makes a difference. I don't know. But I do have my Moonology cards ready for tomorrow night. I shall be releasing and making plans for the new moon. But yes, we are talking vibrations this morning and meditations this morning with the glorious Gill Kirkham. But before we do, let's catch up. I want to know what the weather's doing in your neck of the woods. What's happening where you are? It's a very British thing to talk about. Here, it is gloriously sunny this morning. And I'm very happy about the fact there's just something about the sunshine that makes me feel better, even if I feel a bit rotten. Look what I got. You can't see the hair. I got two. Do you know what? She's getting all kinds of worries, that Dani Wallace. Look at this here. I got some citrine. You know I like to have a dabble with crystals. I got some citrine earrings that came through the post the other day from Mooncraft HQ. So this is another lady called Dani, who has a crystal business. I think she does more than crystals, but I have got some crystals from her. She was recommended by the glorious Jennifer McKenzie, who is a member of the Hive, a valued member of the Hive. But yeah, I got some citrine earrings, and apparently having citrine earrings is great because of where it sits in your chakras. Do you know what? I'm learning something new all the time. I'm just here for it all. And I also got, check this out, you lot. You ready? It's beautiful. Look at this. Ooh, Bumblebee Jasper. So Jen got in touch with me. She was like, Dani, there's this lady called Dani. She's got Mooncraft HQ, and she's showing Bumblebee Jasper. I didn't even know it was a thing. But apparently this is great for welcoming in joy into your life and your work, which, as you all know, I am here for, especially with my little joy buddy. Look at him. Look at my little happy joy buddy welcoming the joy into my workspace, into my desk. So that's what the Bumblebee Jasper's all about as well, apparently. And I'm here for all of it. What kind of funny rituals and things and trinkets and bits and bobs do you have on your desk or in your office or in your surroundings that help you remain intentional? And that's what a lot of these little trinkety bits are for. I've talked to you about these before that I have on my desk, whether it's a vibrational thing, whether it's a spiritual thing, or whether it's just seeing them and remembering why they're there, helps me focus on what it is I need to bring into my business. So a bit of a funny thing going on in my little brain at the moment, you lot. I have noticed, I don't know if you've noticed, but since we did that massive, big, mahoosive launch, I have not emailed any of you. I have not been posting regularly on Instagram. I suddenly have been a little bit not invisible because I turn up for the show every day. Of course I do. And I am present in the hive, sort of asking questions and sharing things. We did put the job specs out yesterday for the jobs that I'm recruiting for on the team at the moment. We're looking for a social media manager, and we are also looking for, I'm also looking for a production researcher for the show as we expand the show and make the show bigger. But I really feel like ever since that big launch, I've gone, ooh, this is quite big now. I got a little bit scared, and I wanted to share that with you, that I've noticed it. I think, there's loads of things that I need to be doing. I need to be like sort of sharing more in preparation for the summer swarms and all of this sort of stuff. And I haven't. And this is really odd how, when these big things happen, these big level up happens, like what we do to ourselves. And I've caught myself in a little bit of self-sabotage, you lot. So I know you all have your wee beady eyes on me for looking after myself, but I need your wee beady eyes on me for being a bit more bloody visible, you lot. I need to turn it back up again. What's happened to that Dani Wallace? She got a bit scared. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to share that with you, that even me in doing the things that I'm doing in the position that I'm in, you feel that from time to time. Has anybody else felt that before, where they've done some leveling up, or they've taken some action, or they've made a decision, and all of a sudden they've got like this vulnerability hangover or a visibility hangover? Let me know in the comments if that is you, and if you've got any tips for getting through it. I am an open book, willing to learn just as much as I'm willing to teach in this space. Finding social media a bit of a slog right now. Yeah, Sarah Jane, I feel it. Like I have no problem serving the people who I'm serving at the moment. I'm turning up consistently for all of my stuff, everything that I'm delivering. I'm loving it. I'm engaged. I'm like bringing the fire here, bringing the fire. But I'm just finding that social media job bit a bit of a slog. And I don't know if that's because of this hangover from COVID, this not knowing what's going on. Is this, I don't know what it is. Is anybody else feeling it right now? Please do let me know in the comments. Let's support each other, kick each other at the backside if we are struggling with our visibility. Holler at me. I would love to know. It's not just me, is it? I don't think it's just me. Jill, you're backstage. Is it just me at the minute? She's like, I don't know. We're going to bring her on and talk to her about it. We're going to talk about raising our vibrations this morning through meditation. We've got the glorious, please welcome her onto the show, Wise at Razorback Show, Gill Kirkham, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning. I've got so much to say that with everything you've just said, I'm like, oh my God, I can tell you about that. There's a huge eclipse window happening and it dates back to December 2019, and any kind of shadow aspect of ourselves is coming up now. Up until June the 21st.
Wow.
And literally it is like the shadow. Oh, hello. The shadow of all shadows is coming up.
Go on.
Hello, little person.
She's come in. She's bleary-eyed. She's in the second week of half term. Normally, she did this right at the start when we used to do this at 8 o'clock in the morning. We used to have a little bit of ivy first thing. And this is so interesting. When you say the shadow of the shadow, these are bits of myself that I would like to think that I've done a significant amount of work on, B, I teach on, so it makes me feel a bit like, when you've got the cobbler who makes the nice shoes for all the other people and they look down at their shoes and think, I've got shit shoes on. What have I got shit shoes on? It feels a little bit like that. That's so interesting.
Yeah, honestly, Dani, I'm exactly the same. And I teach this. My group Luminous is about all the energy, and I help entrepreneurs, literally activate their joy. And it's so fascinating that you're using all these words. I'm like, oh my God, we're like completely in tune. And there's no surprise. There's no surprise that you're feeling like this at the moment, because my deepest, darkest shadow has come up in the last few weeks, and I had to put 30 social media posts together, and it took me about 4 days, and I was hating every single minute of it. And it's like, because you just want to go, just want to stop. And it's almost like a kind of self-loathing, or like trudging through treacle, but it's actually the biggest healing, and the acceptance that we can get if we can just kind of surrender it all out just for another few weeks is going to be.
I'm holding tight then. I'm holding tight, Jill, because it feels like that. I feel like I'm wading through treacle. And the thing is, I had such a huge momentum wave, such an incredible launch of Be Heard, Be Inspired, just, 3-4 short weeks ago. And there was this massive sort of unseen before within my business sort of success and visibility, and it was huge. But I mean, Sarah J's asking a really pertinent question there. What steps can we take right now? We're just like going straight into the value bit of the show today. We're just like going balls deep, like I'm here. But yeah, that you describe it so beautifully, that I look at my social media, particularly right now, and I often I post from the heart and I email from the heart, and there was no problem in doing that in the run up to the launch. It felt good. It felt right. It didn't feel icky. It didn't feel supercelly. I was just posting straight from the heart. And I feel like now there's nothing in to give anybody.
Yeah. It's like false. If it comes out, it's not real. I completely get that. It's literally because we're in this kind of transition, and if you can imagine, our energy is doing this, and we're having a spiritual upgrade because we're literally going into so everything is created in the dark. So we're in a place of dark because we're creating our next level version of us. Right. But if we continued on that momentum, and this goes for the lady who just, what was her name? Sorry, the lady who just asked.
Sarah Jane.
If you could just slow down, Sarah, and all of us just slow down now, we will get further quicker by being in the dark in this phase. Because if you imagine, our body we're all on this awakening journey. We're here in 2021 because we are in the biggest, greatest awakening on the planet, and our body is becoming less dense. So we need everything about our consciousness to become less dense. And sometimes that means switching off in order to let it process, let it settle. You've done the work, have a rest, and then you'll be firing, like rising like the phoenix, firing on all cylinders, coming out the other side. But if you keep going, you might slow the process down. So absolutely best to listen to your body. Like my throat's even talking to you, so I'm linking in with your energy now.
Yeah, like I'm giving it. I've got it here for you.
Away. But so it's literally just a place of, don't let panic make you push, let panic make you surrender. And it's
and this is what happens when people panic. They become, if you think like horses, for example, they become skittish, don't they? Because they don't know what's happening or know where they're going. They're kind of feeling that anxiety. And when we feel anxiety equates to stress, and we create this. Some of us that aren't sort of in tune with that rest or latent phase, that we want to fight against it, because this isn't us. This isn't me. I'm a fighter. I push through these feelings. I know that I'm self-sabotaging, therefore I should be working harder, or, all of these things. And it's really cool. And it's been very interesting. I was awake last night thinking about it. How interesting that today we were having this conversation, and these are the things that were going to come up.
I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because I was wide awake at 3 o'clock worrying about all the things I was having to do. And I was like, I know what's going on. Stop, leave me alone. So I just did some meditation.
Like, I'm on the inside of this. I know. It's okay. I will rest. It's fine.
But they say as leaders and facilitators that we get it on high volume so that we can read it enough to tell other people. So we're like, we've almost signed up to an extra dose of everything.
I was saying to you this morning, like the show itself, like turning up every single day at 9:30. I do that, and even the show's become. I mean, I love it, and I turn up for it. But even that's become like I feel like I've signed up for a double dose of extraness, just in that kind of commitment. But I wouldn't. And in the next breath, I wouldn't swap it for the world. So please, Annie, we talked about, we went in straight away without a real proper introduction. So Gill, tell us more about specifically what it is that you do. Welcome to the show, and thank you for sharing from this space and playing along all out with me this morning.
I've got more. Make sure I mention about not feeling supported in a minute, because I'm
going to write it down.
Yeah. So so my name is The Modern Day Alchemist, and I was previously a clarity coach and a business consultant before that. And I had the whole breakthrough, and realized that all of my spiritual gifts and my ADD were actually things that I needed to bring out to the fore. And now I literally activate joy in people through deep energetic shifts. My ability to cut through BS is amazing with people, and I kind of can see psychically their next step, so I can run an idea from here to here in about 3 seconds flat and see all the problems. So that's the kind of thing I do with my one-to-ones. The best bit is I feel like a bridge between the cosmic and the practical. So it's like, how do we create all of the intuition in you so it's working full on, so you can make the best decisions, you feel less stressed, you feel more calm. And I've got a membership called Luminous, where I coach Intuition Academy, Manifesting Academy, and literally day-to-day clarity stuff alongside full moon and new moon activations. So we go up and speak to white beings and light beings and all kinds of beings, and people have the best like mini upgrades. Everything really is about self-empowerment. So I'm not like a guru, but I'm there holding the space so that they can have their next. I will say I'm a guide, not a guru. Don't think because I've had all these massive spiritual things, it doesn't mean anything, because we're literally all the same. But we're always the teacher and we're always the student at the same time. But the space I hold allows people to feel luminous, and we go into the luminous activation space in the quantum field, and we literally go into the highest available frequency for the intention that they're putting forward. So that's all of it in a nutshell.
Wow. That's a lot. That's not even small stuff. That's a lot. And for people that are brand new to this way of thinking and to this kind of practice, have you ever experienced sort of friction or restriction? The interesting thing that I find when I speak to people who work within the spiritual industry, the connection, the intuitive industry, as well as, pairing that with life development, personal development, business development, is that the more that this grows, the more it's growing. Is, the resistance that talking about these things sort of 10, 15 years ago isn't even the same as it is now.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what part of that is the whole identity? You said earlier about being visible. So we, as part of the Great Awakening, we're having to let go of judgment. And a lot of us probably felt more judgment as children than we are now. And our parents felt more judgment than we do now. And their parents felt more judgment than they, and so we're slowly allowing ourselves to really flourish as ourselves. And luckily the internet gives us all the options and all of the availability to be able to duck out of sort of mainstream media and all of that, so we can go, oh, I'm going to try a bit of that, and I'm going to try a bit of that. And it's just we're finding our tribes here, there and everywhere that just feel rather than think. We're like, oh, that feels right, and we're able to connect with our feelings more and more. And our parents and their parents, they weren't really, it wasn't the done thing, especially with men, to have emotions.
They were feelers.
Yeah, so we're feeling more and more and more, and it's
Yeah.
exciting.
It is exciting. If I look at sort of historically how that was dealt with as well. Like, I mean, I can only talk about where I grew up in the world, but there was a lot of alcoholism. There was a lot of, there was a lot of addiction that ran through quite a lot of our family sort of historically. And the more you talk about this, I find it interesting that with that feeling piece being quite difficult, we were, especially from the north. I remember crying and my grandma going, "Come on now, that's enough. Right, that's it. Come on, we've got to move to." And it wasn't that she didn't care. Like, I know inherently that my mum, for example, still finds it difficult to feel stuff. And I'm going around feeling my feels, and I look at my kids now, like, they feel things hard now, and it's so very, very different how progressively people are parenting. What worked in inverted commas for us may not necessarily have worked for us in inverted commas. It might have actually been damaging. And like we're awakening to that in terms of breaking cycles as well. It's fascinating, Jill.
It is, and we're all becoming so much more aware, and it's amazing. It is amazing. There are people on so many different levels of their understanding and awareness, and there's people that are really spiritual, but they're not really doing the inner work, and there's people that are doing the inner work, but they're not really spiritual. There's so many different variations of, like, I don't want to categorize people, but you can kind of see where people are going, and mixing it with science and mixing it with the psychology, and everyone's on their own journey.
It's to make sense of it, I guess, because we're logical beings, aren't we? If we, our job as Homo sapiens, our job as the animal human that we are, as opposed to the energetic human that we are, is that we've got to work things out. We need to figure it out. We need to know what's going on. And actually, that the word know and knowing keeps coming up again and again and again.
Oh my God, it's so much. I was thinking I'm going to have to write a post or do something on the difference between trust and knowing, because trust in some ways still represents there's lack, because if you trust, that means there's something that could go wrong. But if you're in your total knowing and wholeness, you just are. And it's like, that's the next level of completely in your whole state of, you're in flow, as they call it.
Yeah, and I think we misconstrue knowing for informed as well. So I think we like to be informed. We like to know in terms of having the logistics and the practicalities and the pragmatalities, whatever that word is, in front of us. We need to know the mathematical equation, whereas actually knowing. And we talk about intuition quite a lot on the show. We're really blessed. There are lots and lots of people that come on and talk about this sort of thing. And we've never really had the conversation around knowing and knowing. Like, knowing's all right. Like, I know that this pen's there. I know that it's there. Yeah. It's there in front of me. I can see the pen. I also know that a lot of these practices that I have work. At first, I tried to apply a lot of logic to it. Like, for example, I have lots of little trinkets on my desk. I was showing you my little joy buddy. Welcome in the joy. Look at his little face. Oh. Welcoming joy. And the logic in me is that's an intentional reminder to keep inviting joy into my space. I actually know that I'm just inviting joy into my space. That's just what I'm doing. But the scientist in me needs to be informed. I need to be able to logic that out and articulate it so more people understand it. And the more I kind of move away from that, the easier it gets to just know shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did an exercise recently on that. So it's like, could you for one day make all your decisions based on your highest resonance, not logic? Like, is that resonating with my highest good right now? And just strip off the logic away from it. And actually, some people just made massive decisions, like paid for coaching courses that they've been scared of going on, and just book the holidays, and it's a good way to be sometimes, to just drop the logic and just, what does resonance even mean? It just means, does that feel good? Does it feel like there's this joy spreading around you when you make that decision?
How do we, Jill, start to listen to that? Because that's a really interesting one, that especially if we look at the demographic. If I look at, my eldest is 13. And if I look at sort of the teenagers to sort of early 20-year-olds right now, that particular generation, they are more open to things. They are, I can hear them having the conversations. They use the term woke, but they are more awake in certain aspects. You know, they are thinking about things like climate change, things like energetic exchange, all of this sort of stuff. And then you've got sort of 30, I would say 30 to 50-year-olds, right? It's sort of a 20-year, even 30 to sort of 45-year-olds, where maybe their parents, who were maybe baby boomers and slightly just before, who were in that very logical survival for a lot of people. A lot of it was around sort of living in capitalism, all of that sort of thing. How do we start to listen to ourselves? Because at first, when I thought I was listening to myself, I wasn't. I was listening to the stories that I'd been given as a child to me. So how we deal with money, that money is something to be feared, for example, or relationships. I'm validated by being in a relationship, for example, or by being a mum. That's what validates me. How do we start to listen to ourselves?
That's an amazing question. So there's different ways. So the first thing that springs to mind is the value system. So what are your 3 core values? So is this bringing me joy? Is this bringing me inner peace? Is this taking me closer to a sense of freedom? You know, and if you could just have that conversation with yourself every time you're about to do something, or if you're going nuts in your brain, ruminating or procrastinating or something, it's like, okay, is this bringing me closer to joy or freedom or peace, or is it not doing me any good? And it's like, actually, what do I need? What is it that I need? What would bring me closer to this in this moment? And it is literally having the slowing down enough to talk to yourself. The thing that I do, the Razorback live thing, I shouldn't call it a thing.
That thing that I do quite often. So Razorback Live, I've created an 11-minute meditation practice, and because I had ADD, or I was diagnosed with the symptoms of, which made sense at the time, it's a selection of 8 different processes that I put together in 11 minutes, and that gets people into such a place of bliss that they can start feeling into their feelings more pretty soon. So I highly recommend any kind of meditation. The one that I've got specifically, I've got movement and breath work and mantra and all kinds of things put into it in a very short space of time. So you can't not listen to me. You have to get into your space, because otherwise you're going to miss something, and then all of a sudden you're in it. So it's finding ways to get in it and stay in it. And you know, everyone talks about journaling, and there's also lots of ways of going down into your trauma and past stuff. I'm actually a trauma release specialist. I've studied in that. However, I feel there's different ways that we can do it without having to keep going down into the, to keep going to face it, because it's hard. There are lots of people out there. I mean, trauma is very subjective. It's like what trauma is something that happens to you that has a direct impact on you, however we look at it, and that is varied for lots of different people. But for people that have experienced trauma that's very painful and upsetting to keep revisiting, that accessing that type of, I guess, shadow work, accessing that kind of work is a frightening and often triggering experience. Like, there are practitioners out there that I think, without any malintent, don't practice as safely as they could, and then end up having, you know, bringing in clients. They go and face these traumas, and then what? You know, they're kind of left then carrying this stuff around because they've had to go. They might have like suppressed it, and they'll be doing things to sabotage themselves, not realize that it comes from this place of trauma or whatever. But then they've gone and accessed this part of themselves, and then what? You're then carrying it around. All of a sudden, you've got this like gaping wound, like.
You've got to take them through the journey. There's people have to also commit to doing the whole journey, because sometimes it's down to them if they just sort of disappear off. And that's a shame, because they've got it, but their soul will get them to come back. You know, they will revisit it. But there's that brings me right back to the point where I said, remind me about the support thing. So in this bit of shadow that we're in now, if we can really see why we're pushing so hard, and maybe we're not feeling as supported as we could right now, but actually the biggest support we can give ourselves is to support ourselves. And then we're on the vibration of support, and that's dealing with the shadow in a much better way than going back into the issues from 5 years old, you know. And it's actually, how can we support us? Because we've done that at inner work, we know about this stuff. So how can we just support ourselves right now? How can we just give it up right now, especially today? Anyone who's watching today, just give it up until tomorrow.
I'm here for that. And I think that, you know, finding some space to sort of release a bit of that and just to go and just be and create that space. It's interesting, you know, saying about meditation and about sort of getting there to that place of where you're able to listen to yourself. I was quite frightened of that in the first instance. I remember saying quite jokingly, but really meaning it at the time, that I wasn't able to go in here without the accompaniment of a grown up, to kind of hold my hand. And I remember going to do, I went to a flotation tank, like a sensory deprivation flotation tank. And for the first, I was in there for an hour, and the first 5 to 10 minutes, it was a lot. It was like someone had just pulled the pin out of a hand grenade in my head, and my brain was trying to scatter around in its consciousness to make sense of everything. And as soon as I allowed that to sort of settle, then that was when some really sort of just beautiful thoughts started to kind of pass over and pass through, and learning to become a voyeur of your thoughts instead of an active participant, I think is a real key when you're holding yourself in that kind of space. Would you agree? Like, is that, and you deal in meditation, it's a hard practice to, if you are new to it, to realize that at first you are just thinking things because your brain is just used to thinking things because it's a thinking machine.
Yeah, and there's multi-levels of consciousness going on all the time. So you could observe that you're still thinking, yet you might be able to see some colours, or you're still thinking, but your heart rate's really slowed down, and you're still, there's a lot of comparisonitis, like you see yoga teachers that are all like, yeah, I'm really Zen, but actually
I'm not as Zen as him. Oh God, I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, and it's the same with meditation. It's like, oh, she saw colours and I didn't, and it's not about that. It's actually the opposite. So it's like actually just being in that observational space, that voyeurism space of what did that mean to me? Oh, and celebrating the small wins, like with business, it's celebrating the small wins, and then they all build up, and remembering to be in a place of gratitude. I think the biggest thing, as always, is pushing too hard. It's that, well, even in that state, in the flotation zone, rather than just processing what's there, if you had not done that, you could have gone, well, that wasn't very much, and that wasn't so.
Yeah, and a really shit time, and I got out because I just couldn't do it. All you had to do was lay there.
Yeah, exactly.
Lie there. Well, I just can't do it. I can't meditate. I've just got to lie there. A woo-woo inferiority complex.
Yeah.
I'm not woo enough to meditate. You are, because all you've got to do is nothing. And this was, again, an interesting thing was listening for silence. I think was a really handy tip that when I first started out learning how to meditate, was instead of trying to be silent, or instead of trying to get to a certain spot, just try and hear silence. Listen to everything that's going on and hear where the silence is. And all of a sudden, you're just listening. And actually what you're listening to then is what's going on here, because your thoughts will start to come through. Is that a daft practice, or is that?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, that's the best place to be, isn't it? Because then you realize when your intuition is speaking, and then you realize when your inner critic is speaking, or your old patterns are speaking, or the ego's going, don't do that. What if it fails? Or your inner child's going, oh, they hurt me last time. Don't phone them again.
Yeah, they say no.
Yeah, I don't like the no word. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to
interrupt.
No. I was just going to ask, what brought you to this practice? Because I know you said right at the beginning of the conversation that, you know, lots of us that are in the service space, that either, you know, spiritual or coaching or whatever, in their service space where they're helping, often we have survived in order to serve. We see that there are awesome ways to do things, and then we start to pass those messages on. We place our education in that. We understand what's happened to us and see how we can apply that elsewhere. And so many of us do it. So obviously you're very, very connected, and that's, you know, the space in which you work. How did you come across that bit of yourself, and how did that feel at the time?
Okay, well, it was the inevitable complete breakdown from the corporate life.
Yeah.
All of my financial things that I was very secure, family issues, dad, mum, and brother, all at the same time. Like everything just collapsed around me, and then I thought, human behavior this can't be it. So I'd already done Reiki back about 10 years before.
Yeah.
I found a psychic coach. I did angelic Reiki, other Reiki, the normal one, and then transference healing, did some shamanism. And I was just studying psychology like you wouldn't believe. And then, this is a very woo-woo story. It's going to get really woo-woo.
I'm here for it as well, you know.
Are you ready? I had an experience where my fingers grew, and I connected with a being that was not of this world. And I realized that I was also a channel of the light. And yeah, from that day, or it was a full moon, it was on a new year or Christmas around there, and I was with my psychic healer, and I saw the grid system of the world in my third eye, but in front of me around her, and it was like this whole light bar. I saw the globe and the light grid, so they call it the created matrix, not the 3D matrix, but the one that we are all connected to create our light from, that's actually within the world as well. Yeah. And I was like, what? What is that? Are you kidding me? What's going on with my fingers? And then, you know, and then
like this.
Why do my fingers energetically feel double in size? And what's this being with these big grey eyes? And like, it was a proper, like you'd imagine, a really tall alien feeling. And then it probably took months, if not years, to develop what that was. And then I was doing some healing with a friend, and I was just working with her energetically, and she didn't tell me that she was pregnant. And I went and I was doing some clearing energy around her chakras. I was like, you've got a baby in there. What's going on? What's going on? And she said, well, it was only 2.5 weeks, so I wasn't sure if it was there. And I actually felt the soul, where the soul was coming in, and the channel of the light where the soul was kind of still, all the information was coming in. So, and I've just had so many moments like that that are unbelievable until they happen. And slowly I've been drip fed these awakening moments that just have shown me to get past the judgment. So like you said about identity, my self-judgment was, I'm meant to be a corporate girl, I'm meant to do this, I'm meant to look like this. And it's like, actually no, I'm a healer, and I connect with all kinds of energy, and I've got to do that. I've got to come out into the world and do it, because my soul is bursting out of the seams to do that and get over myself, you know. So it was the whole cosmic connection, connected with the identity stuff. I've been in sales for 20 years, relationship sales. So it's like, actually, it's all about connecting people. Sales is all about reading what people want, and you know, and it's just creating that norm, creating that as a whole thing, realizing it's all the same. It's just every step of the way is something, you either believe it or you don't, and then you do, and then something else happens, and then something else happens, and then something else happens,
and then there's no escaping it. Then you end up being kind of card carrying evangelical, riding the rodeo and saying, do you know what, actually this is just what it is now, like, and then you want to tell people about it. You can't help it.
yeah, you have to, because otherwise it's not real. And it's like, well, it is real. It's got to be real. And then you go through, are we all in a computer simulation? Is this even real? What's
Am
going
I
on?
Neo? Is there any spoon? Like what?
What is going to happen? Is someone controlling us with a remote control? Like,
It's interesting though, but Jill, like, in honesty, where do you see all this going? So like we're in this like awakening phase, and I feel it, and I see so many members of the community that we hang out here in the IATQB space, and not everybody is, and if you're watching and this isn't for you, it's okay. All I ever ask in anything that we bring to the table here in these conversations is just be open to it, be open to the fact that we don't have all the answers. But where do you see this going? What are we awakening to? What does this next phase look like for us? Like what?
Ooh, big
I'm
question.
scared. It's a big question.
Yeah. So I feel it's about everybody becoming the more heightened aware version of themselves. And in order to do that, you have to sift through stuff that you don't believe and that you don't like, and your shadow stuff. So we're being presented at the moment with a lot of stuff where we have to make choices. And the more we say no to things that don't resonate with us, the more we're open to new things that do. And I honestly believe that we could all be a hell of a lot happier. And I honestly believe that we are, the end goal for the awakening is so that we are not manifesting with intention right now or actualizing with intention. I don't know if it will happen in our lifetime, but I have a feeling that we'll be so psychic, intuitive, connected to our heart and happy, and we'll just be able to do the jobs that we want to do. We'll be able to bring that into our world. We'll be able to just help people that need help. And I think it's a long process. You know, I don't think we're going to heal everyone all the time. That the most interesting bit is with every light there's a dark at the moment. There's always that, and what we're getting towards is this place called unity consciousness or neutrality, where we're neutral. And I don't know what neutral looks like, because we don't know what that is.
No.
How can we? Because we're used to everything having a negative and a positive, because that's what science has told us.
Science.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
we have gone there this morning. Like, but like you say, happiness in the real visceral sense as well. And if we maybe even translate happiness for peace and contentment and love, if we kind of really put it in that spot, maybe that's where it is. That there is a lot of pseudo happiness that happens right now. And it was interesting. I did a retreat a few weeks ago. One of my dear friends, Kathy, we were talking about abundance, and we were talking about specifically financial abundance in that particular session, and she was really conflicted because we were all like, we were doing that thing like writing the love letters to money and the energy of abundance, and actually what we found was what we were saying was actually directly speaking to the energy of love. At the same time, we were treating the energy of abundance and money the same as we were treating the energy of love, and as such we were experiencing certain things within our lives that weren't as great as they could be. And so the love letter to money, actually, I was like, swap it out for the word love or abundance, whatever it is that what you want more of. And she was really conflicted, and she was like, I don't want to write a love letter to money because I don't respect money in that particular sense. I don't, you know, if we could go back to, you know, and there was to do this sustainably, living off the land with happiness and all of this sort of stuff, that's actually where we would go to. And it was really interesting, and again triggering for me, because I'm like, I want more, I want to be able to give more, I want to be able to create more so that I can give more. So there's this like fine balance between actually what's the construct versus how do we create this sort of peace, happiness, abundance for ourselves. And that's the waking up bit, isn't it, I guess?
Definitely. And money generally is a masculine energy, so if you can relate that back to any father wounds, I don't know if that was coming up in the retreat, but it's generally about not just the father wound or the father decisions we made around our father, but also the collective patriarchy.
And there's a lot.
That's for another conversation. But yeah, money is but money has represented love to so many people for so long, because it's gifts and it's treats and it's it's like that. If we have enough money, we can do this. If we have enough money, this can happen. But actually, it's meant to bring us joy. Money is a commodity of joy. It's just allowing money to be there for you rather than you have to work for it. But it's how does that?
How do we reharness that? How do we get our head around that again?
Yeah.
And honestly, we could talk all day on all of these things. Like, I think that there's like a podcast in us. I feel like it's amazing, absolutely phenomenal and fascinating. There's so many areas that we can touch on. And I'm sure this won't be the last time that we speak, Gill. When you get those feelings, you feel them in your bones. But what does your work look like? So you said you're working in one-to-one capacity. You've got the Luminous group as well that people can go and get involved with. How do we find out more about the phenomenal work that you do?
Oh, thank you. So my website is gillkirkham.com. On the 20th of July, I'm doing Raise the Vibe Live again, which is the 11-minute meditation. You just need to show up twice a day for 11 minutes and I will get you in that space.
I am there. Does that not 9 in the morning, does it? Because I'm a bit tied up.
Yeah, 11 o'clock. So 11 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, so 11 o'clock on the 11 minutes, and then you can stay for a Q&A after if you want, or you can just go. So yeah, that's my next move, 20th of July. And the realizations that people are having in Raise the Vibe Live are enough to sort of raise their vibration for a long time, you know. It's kind of my gift to the world, but it also brings people into my world. And then if they want to do one-to-one with me, I have a one-to-one package called Momentum, and they can come and get shifted in their business or relationships through getting clarity and shifting the blocks. I can do the trauma release, I can do past lives, whatever it needs. But sometimes we literally just do basic let's get you clarity, you know, let's get anything that's blocking you out of the way and make a plan, make a strategy. So it's moving between all of those worlds.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I will be actively participating in Raise the Vibe Live. If any of you are feeling those feelings that me and Gill were talking about right at the start of the show today, it sounds like a perfect opportunity to be tapping in. If we are at the latent phase of whatever is happening right now, and now is the time to be sort of taking the rest where you can take the rest, cocooning yourself and caring for yourself in ways that you might not necessarily think you need to at the moment, but you actually do. It's a great thing to do in the run up to that. Do get involved. It's gillkirkham.com, or go and find you on Facebook or Insta, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I've just realized I'm having a new moon activation in 2 days' time. So if anyone wants to join that, just go on to the meditation community and you can join. It's £22 a month. So if you don't like it after the first one, you can just leave. But there's a new moon. There's the new moon and the full moon activations each month on there. So yeah, just come and join the next one.
Fantastic. Amazing. Incredible. Thank you so much for joining us this morning in your energy and your wisdom. It has been an absolute pleasure to explore this with you this morning. We do touch up on the spiritual realm as well as the business realm, and it's been a pleasure to hear everything that you've got to share around that. I look forward to speaking to you again, Gill Kirkham.
Thank you so much. It's been absolutely awesome, Dani. Thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome. That was Gill Kirkham, the modern day alchemist. You guys go and find out more. gillkirkham.com. There's the Luminous group as well. But do go and connect with her. What an incredible. We went there this morning. Like, I was not expecting that for a Wednesday. And considering that I was feeling a little bit like snotty and sniffly just before, me and Gill was just saying, it's interesting that when you get into these conversations, those conversations happen in flow, the most magic happens. And that's what I felt like happened this morning. I don't know about you, but if you want to come and carry on the conversation, do so. Come on over to the IATQB Hive. That's my community where we share our successes and our challenges and show up, wise up, and rise up together. Make sure you follow me on the socials at the Queen Bee Dani. Click follow over on Facebook. Click on follow on Instagram. We are going for Operation Swipe Up. I think we're about 150 away from 4,000 followers over there right now. I would love in the next week to be hitting up 4,000. I want to do a little bit of a celebration to celebrate 4,000 followers, but we've got to get there. I need your help. So if you know, or if you're on Instagram, do us a favor, do us a little story or do us a cheeky little post about coming to follow me. I am completely without shame in asking for that, because the more people that find out about the IATQB community, the more people tune into the show, the more people find out about incredible people like Gill Kirkham. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Show Wise at Rise Up Show. We'll be back tomorrow at 9:30 for more of the same. I will see you then. Go and hit it up this hump day. You've absolutely got this, you guys, and I've got you if you need me. I'll see you all tomorrow.